can we please call this meeting to order and go for roll call? Thank you. May we have roll call, please, Eduardo?
Yes. Councilmember Schneider.
Here.
Councilmember Holliver.
Present.
Councilmember Fung.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pappen.
Here.
Mayor Oliva.
Here.
All members of the City Council are present.
Thank you. Can everybody please stand for the pledge? And John Munoz is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the military, you may salute. Otherwise, place your right hand above your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. City Clerk, Acting City Clerk, would you like to make note of an amendment to the agenda?
Yes, I just want to note that there was a change to the agenda. The change is we added to item number 2, the agenda overview and the staff briefing, a report out for 3 closed sessions, one for December 8th, 2021, one for December 14th, 2021, and the last report out would be from today's closed session at 5 p.m.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to move on to ceremonial presentations, and Councilmember Fung is going to help us out tonight with those. If you could unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so very much. Welcome everybody to Millbrae City Council meeting. And I'm glad to present the proclamation tonight. There are 2 of them tonight. Both is to continue to demonstrate our commitment and to celebrate and recognize the deep cultural significance, as well as the contribution from our communities of color tonight. So the first one here is the proclamation for February of 2022 as Black History Month. So whereas the Black History Month is celebrated each February and was founded in 1915 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, an African-American historian, author, and journalist. And whereas it was Dr. Carter Woodson's who initiated Black History Week in 1926 and in 1976. As part of the nation's bicentennial, Black History Week was expanded and became established as Black History Month. And it's now celebrated all across the United States. And whereas during Black History Month, we recognize and remember the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, and spiritual and political development. And whereas Black History Month also affords special opportunities to further educate ourselves on the prejudice that still exists in our country and work together to overcome this inequality. And whereas Black and African American communities have made valuable and lasting contributions in the history and culture of the United States. And whereas the city of Millbrae honors the rich legacy of African Americans who faced generations of abhorrent racism, discrimination, and hatred. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle the systemic racism presented in our society and build a community that lives up to its democratic ideas and promises. And whereas the Black History Month recognizes the important sacrifice and contributions of Black people to the development of the United States and the world. So now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim February 2022 as Black History Month. So I think we have in the audience tonight our Alliance, Mr. Steve Henderson, receiving this proclamation tonight. Would you like to say a few words, Steve?
Yes, please. Thank you, Councilmember Fung. Thank you, Mayor Oliva and members of the City Council and staff. Honored to be here and proud as a citizen of Millbrae to be accepting the proclamation. Excited about so many of the developments that have been going on, including the renaming of the Harriet Tubman Way and the Harriet Tubman artwork going in at the new development. very hopeful about the establishment of a social equity commission going forward. I know that's under consideration. Very excited to be a member of Millbrae ARC and working with that organization to help achieve some of the things mentioned by Councilmember Fung in the proclamation. I think that one of the best things we can do during the month of February is really work on making it a month of service to one another. That idea of love thy neighbor, but that idea of recognizing in each other that we all have talent and the opportunity to serve and continue to make Millbrae a special place. Again, I'm honored to be receiving the proclamation, and I know so many people here on the call, and very proud of the progress we're making as a city, recognizing challenges we have around equity and taking serious strides to see that those steps are made. Thanks again, and really appreciate this.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Henderson. So the second proclamation tonight, it's proclaiming February 1st, 2022, as a celebration of the Lunar New Year. And so whereas in the celebration of the Lunar New Year, the city of Millbrae joins many families around the world to welcome the Year of Tiger. This year, the Lunar New Year falls on February 1st, 2022. And whereas the Lunar New Year signifies a transition into a fresh start, and it's a time for families and friends to come together in celebration. And whereas the Lunar New Year is steeped in tradition with many customs and festivities passed down through generations, families across our community will be partaking in their traditions, and some will begin to create new traditions of their own. And whereas this year marks the Year of the Tiger, which is third in accordance to the zodiac animal order. Each zodiac animal represents their own unique quality as well as characteristics. According to tradition, the tiger is a symbol of courage, strength as well, ambition, and enthusiasm. And whereas during this time of joy and renewal, the Lunar New Year celebration is an opportunity to educate and promote the rich cultural heritage of our communities. The city of Millbrae recognizes the contributions from our Asian organizations and businesses, and is grateful for their continued dedication to our city. And whereas the city of Millbrae wishes all its residents good health and prosperity as we welcome the Lunar New Year. So now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim February 1st, 2022 as the celebration of the Lunar New Year. I believe tonight in the audience, we have our two organizations, Millbrae Cultural Committee, represented by our president, Nianhua Chang, as well as Peninsula Chinese Business Association, President Dr. Darosa, tonight in the audience. And Ms. Nianhua Chang, would you like to go first?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Fong. Mayor Oliver and Vice Mayor Pepin and the council members, I'm honored to be on behalf of our MCC board to accept the proclamation tonight. And this year is our 4th year to celebrate Lunar New Year in Millbrae downtown. And we would like to invite everyone to come and join us on February 5th. There will be wonderful performances, singing, dancing, and street fairs, food, music, firecrackers, and there will be a lot of fun. So many thanks to our city council members, city manager, and the staff's help during the time when we planned the event. We also want to thank our local sponsors and the community organizations to support us. We will not be able to make it without all the support. Again, thank you very much for recognizing our efforts and contributions to the community. And part of the proceeds from the event will be donated to our Recreation Center Rebuild project. We're looking forward to seeing you in the festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nianhua. It's exciting to see, upcoming February 5th, the celebration. And which block of Broadway is it going to be in? Would you mind telling us?
It will be 300 and 400 block of Broadway.
Excellent. So we all look so forward to this great celebration, and all the community members are welcome. Everybody should come together throughout this pandemic, it's been difficult times, but I think, through mass vaccination and everybody contributing to that effort, believing in the vaccine, now is our time to earn that privilege to be able to get it together safely again. Thank you so very much for organizing all of this. And PCBA, Dr. DeRosa, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Councilman Fong, Madam Mayor Oliver, and the council member. Thank you very much, and this is our pleasure, and this is our honor to receive the proclamation. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we cannot meet and shake hands with everybody, but hope we can get back to our life soon. In the past couple of years, because of the COVID, PCBA lost all the fundraising events opportunity for fundraising. And what we did, but we still tried to do as much as we can to help the community. In the 2020, we are supporting the school district to hire nurses for 5 campuses to make sure the students are coming into healthy and safe. Last year, in the beginning of the year, we are very lucky to connect with SAMCETA and also County of San Mateo County Office of Sustainability to do some outreach project to reach out all the small business in the county. And basically the outreach is going to be to promote San Mateo Strong, to help the small business to apply for the government grant, and also all the safety protocols. It was a very successful project, and in 1 year we reached out to over 1,500 business. So this year we're going to focus in a little bit different. We're going to focus in the resilience. What we're going to do is we understand that during the COVID, a lot of small business, their financial going to be down to the drain, and also they're having a hard time to fundraise for the capital. So we're going to help them. We're going to partner together with Renaissance and also California Green Business Network. We call this the Business Resilience Leadership. Okay, this project, and we're going to do the fundraising for capital, for financing, green business management, and also education for the program that is about resilience. This education program, it's interesting. It's about 6 days with 3 hours each classes, and we got a teaching in how do we run the business in a green format, and also in how we got to be do the business as more into up-to-date meeting what the economy needs. Because during the COVID, we found out a lot of business, they don't have a good book. Some of them, they don't even have a book. They just work very hard to make the living. So we try to help them to do some fundamental education on how we're going to run the business. So this class is going to teach in English, Spanish, and Chinese. And during the COVID, we are not forgetting about Millbrae, because Millbrae, I call it our home, PCBA home. So we also funding for Green Hill, Spring Valley, and Meadows, and Taylor to purchase the outdoor furnitures for the school for the student after school, and also the lunch purposes. And this fall in September, we're gonna have a gala, and we will focus on doing fun and neat, specialized for especially for Lomitas Elementary School. And I think that what we are planning to do now. So we have a handful, but if the city think that anything we can contribute, please do not hesitate to let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. DeRosa. Thank you, PCBA. Thank you, Steve and the Lions. And also thank you, MCC and Lianhua, for all you do, for all your contribution to our community, Millbrae as a whole, as we continue to celebrate our February with our communities of color. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Turn this over back to you.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Great job. I think Vice Mayor has something to say.
As a member person born in the year of the tiger, I'm very excited about this one. Looking forward to the celebration. Thanks.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda overview and staffing briefing. City Manager Tom Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Again, Tom Williams, City Manager. terms of the City Council agenda overview, after my staff briefing, there is report out, as the city clerk had mentioned, for the December 8th, 2021 closed session, the December 14th, 2021 closed session, and the January 25th, this evening's 2022 closed session. Then we have approval of meeting minutes for the regular meeting of November 23rd, 2021, and the special meeting of December 2nd, 2021. Then we have 2 reports this evening from committee and commission chairs. The first is a presentation on the Park and Recreation Commission work plan for 2022. And the second is the Sister Cities Commission work plan for 2022. Then we move to public communication. This item on the agenda is for anyone from the public to address the city council. This is to address city council on any item not on the agenda, and speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Then we move to the consent calendar. This evening on the consent calendar, we have 2 items. Item number 5 is to receive and file a monthly report on our general fund position for the period ending December 31st, 2021. Then we have item number 6, which is our monthly update on the Recreation Center design build. We did receive a request to remove that from the agenda, Mayor, for a presentation from staff. So at that request, we would like to remove item 6 from the consent calendar for a presentation. Then we move to public hearing. Item number 7 is the first item under public hearing, and that is to consider an extension of the urgency ordinance establishing a temporary objective standards for 2-unit residential developments and urban lot splits and affordability requirements for urban lot splits that result in more than 2 dwelling units in single-family residential zones pursuant to Senate Bill 9. Item number 8, the second item under public hearing, is a public hearing to consider adoption of proposed updates of the city Millbrae fee services and fee schedule for the new recreation center, as well as other department fees and recreation. Then moving to existing business, there are no items under existing business. Then we move to new business. There are 2 items under new business, starting with item number 9, and that's to consider adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the agreement with the city of Burlingame to provide temporary interagency water transfers from the city of Burlingame to the city of Millbrae during the duration of the construction of the new Skyline water tank replacement project. And then item number 10 is to consider formation of the 75th anniversary celebration. We're recommending a subcommittee of the city council be formed to start the planning and the effort toward our 75th anniversary celebration in 2023. Then we move to council comments and adjournment, Mayor. Real brief, I'll be very brief in terms of updates. As we discussed at 6 p.m., there still is opportunity for members of the public to draw council districts. The information can be found at our website, configuremillbrae.org. The mapping tool is available and can be accessed there. People that log on can also get an update on all the information, and they can see all of the maps that have been submitted to date. So again, that is configuremillbrae.org. We also have openings and are recruiting for commission and committee positions. We currently are accepting applications from residents who wish to be on one of Millbrae's commissions or committees and assist the city as we continue to improve. The positions that are currently open, we have one on the Millbrae Community Enhancement Advisory Committee, the Millbrae Cultural Arts Advisory Committee, and the Millbrae Youth Advisory Committee. So applicants can submit their applications by logging on to the City of Millbrae's website, and all the information is there on our homepage. We also have received several questions and inquiries about coyote sightings, especially up at the Mills Estates Park and Sebastian Drive area. So we wanted to mention to the public that while coyote sightings in Millbrae are common, residents, especially those with small children and pets, need to remember that they are wild animals and to avoid them when possible. And coyotes typically do not approach humans, but occasionally they will move in closer. If they do approach you, do not move to approach them. And at the advice of experts from the Humane Society, they offer the following suggestions. One, do not turn and run away. If you are with children, stand between them and the coyote. If you have a small dog with you, to pick it up. And two is stand tall, wave your arms in the air, make loud noises. And if possible, use a whistle or shake a can with coins or something like that inside of them. If anyone does have additional questions, they can contact the Humane Society, Peninsula Humane Society at 650-340-7022. That's also a number that people can call if they do see a coyote and would like to report it. And of course, if there's an emergency, then please don't hesitate to call 911. We also are hosting a Parents' Night Out February 11th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. In our Recreation Center. So we will have staff that will host any parents or significant others that would like to go out to dinner and enjoy the night out, and we will host their children at the Recreation Center from 5:30 to 9 p.m. We'll provide dinner. There'll be games, crafts, a PG movie. And so children ages 6 to 11 are welcome to join. And for registration for the parents, they again can log in to our website, and the information is on our homepage. We also have the $100 rain barrel rebate program. The city of Millbrae does have a $100 rebate program that can be used to purchase select rain barrels to capture rainwater. These rebates will not only save money, but they can help beautify landscaping, reduce outdoor water use, and prevent pollutants from running into our storm drain. So to learn more, that's also available on our website. And then lastly, elementary school basketball registration is open. That is for students in 2nd through 5th grade. The program is open to actually all students, not just Millbrae, but any students if they're homeschooled or go to private school through our recreation department. So that information is also accessible on our homepage and our recreation site. We do need volunteer coaches for basketball. So if anybody's registered, please contact Mackenzie Brady as our recreation director in our recreation department. I said I'd be brief. I know it wasn't that brief. One of those nights, I guess, but that concludes the staff overview. Mayor.
All good stuff, though. So can we go next to report outs from legal counsel?
Sure can. I'll report out on the meetings of December 8th, 2021, closed session, and January 25th, 2022. At both of those, no reportable actions were taken. Was not present during the December 14th meeting, and perhaps the city manager can report on that.
Tom, you're muted.
Oh, no, nothing made. Now we can move on to approval of meeting minutes.
Oh,
Tom,
wait.
do you want to
We need
report
to-
out the December 14th closed session that we were not present at?
I'm sorry, there is no reportable action from December 14th.
And then Joan for the 25th tonight?
I reported on that already.
I
And
apologize. You
no
mentioned
report.
both. Yes, thank
I
you
didn't.
very much. So we'll go next to approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of November 23rd, 2021 and December 2nd, 2021?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Schneider,
yes.
Councilmember Holliber,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Aye.
The city council approves the regular meeting minutes of November 23rd, 2021, and the special meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2021 by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next, oral reports from first up 2022 Parks and Recreation Commission work plan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce our Recreation Director, Ms. Mackenzie Brady.
Thank you.
Hey, Mackenzie, I think you're unmuted, but for some reason we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There
Yep,
we
can
go.
hear you. Thank you.
All right. My apologies. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, Mackenzie Brady, Recreation Director. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. We have Chair Dan Quigg present to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. I will go ahead and give the presentation. The members of our Parks and Recreation Commission are made up of Dan Quigg, Stephanie Douglas, Steve Henderson, John Kiefer, and Julie Turner. And you can see their terms here. So recently, the work plan was changed from a fiscal year basis to a calendar year basis. So the span, we have an 18-month span from July 1, 2020 through December 31, 2021 that we are giving achievements for and the review of what was accomplished. So despite a pandemic, Parks and Recreation Commissioners worked with staff and community outreach and submitting Prop 68 statewide park program grant applications for Millbrae State Park. Also worked with staff and collaborating with the Millbrae Community Foundation for the new Recreation Center fundraising campaign. Helped to set facility fees for the new Recreation Center, which we will be reviewing and presenting to City Council tonight. Participated in the Recreation Center Subcommittee for the new Recreation Center build. Participated in the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Council to help staff submit numerous grants. Participated in the ad hoc subcommittee with the Cultural Arts Advisory Committee to commission a mural at the Millbrae Skate Park, which has already been commissioned, and the mural has been completed. Also helping with the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. So that grant for the Millbrae Fitness Court and Skate Park renovation was reviewed and approved by the Commission in 2020, was ultimately received in 2021. And commissioners participated in the Millbrae Fitness Court grand opening and ribbon cutting, which took place this fall. And commissioners also participated in the Recreation Center groundbreaking, which took place in October of 2021. October of 2020. And for the 2022 work plan for Task 1, advisory body to the City Council, continuing to serve as a recommending body for matters as defined in the municipal code and also keeping up to date on any current and emerging issues in Parks and Recreation. For Task 2, advisory body for the active transportation plan. So continuing to serve as the recommending body surrounding matters dealing with bike and pedestrian safety. So that is where the BPAC currently comes in. Programs and fees. Annually review and make recommendations to the City Council regarding operations, programming, fees for service, development impact fees, and rental fees. And on request by council and or staff, conduct evaluation of any of our programs and fees, and then provide consideration and recommendations to the City Council. Task 4, Recreation Center fundraising and donor wall. Find and review opportunities to ease the burden on resources, such as funding opportunities and utilization planning. So what that means is helping to find new grants that might be applied for. Also actively engage in the fundraising campaign for the new Recreation Center donor wall by assisting the Millbrae Community Foundation. And then providing consideration and recommendations to the council from the Parks and Recreation Commission and as participants of the Recreation Center and funding opportunity subcommittees. Task 5, review of the capital improvement plan, which is their CIP. Continually review and make recommendations to the City Council regarding the CIP for any Parks and Recreation facilities. Task 6 is staff support and community enrichment, providing support to staff for managing prioritization of demand for limited park and recreation resources, which might be assisting with helping manage the user groups for our field needs, as well as recommend and support staff on enhancement of city's events, parks, playgrounds, and other programs and facilities. And then the last task is Task 7, supporting staff in planning the ribbon cutting ceremony and event for the new Millbrae Recreation Center. So helping to serve as a recommending body and actual support. So feet on the ground in helping staff to execute this event in collaboration with the Senior Advisory Committee and Youth Advisory Committee. And we'll go back to here, and I am available for any questions as well as Chair Quigg.
Council, any questions? So the parents' night out, was that part of this work plan too?
You got a hand up?
Not specifically part of the work plan, one of the activities and programs that was planned by staff.
Very good, very creative. Like that one. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Park and Rec Commissioners and staff, thank you. I know it was a very full year for you. I also know that in times past, the city has tried to get an aquatics program, and we still don't have one. I understand that the lease is up or something with the high school district, and that we needed one more vote from the Mills or the Meadows Club, of which my dad is a former president of the Millbrae or the Meadow swim team. Sorry, Millbrae Swim Club. I am very worried. We got lucky last summer. It wasn't really hot, but your average resident, let alone your lower income resident, has no access to water in the city of Millbrae. And I hope that you might consider adding it to your work plan to continue trying to find an aquatics program. When I first moved back to Millbrae in 2006, when I grew up here, I had Red Cross swim lessons at Cappuccino High School. And that led me to my college and post-college career. Water is important. But when I came back in 2006, Millbrae had an agreement with Burlingame that Millbrae residents could participate at Burlingame High School's aquatics program at the same cost as Burlingame residents. That might be another alternative, given that San Bruno's pools, where San Bruno Council have called me and said they'd love for us to work with them. But if we could get some kind of water program, if we have a heat wave, the best way to keep people cool is get them in water. So I really would like to see that. This is my 7th year on council, and I don't know how many years since Millbrae has had an aquatics program. And when I read through this, it talked about we provide programs for everybody. I'm going to tell you, my mom is 94. No, we don't. There is no program other than her going for a walk on our uneven sidewalks for someone her age and with her disability issues. Water is the best thing for someone in her condition. Thank you.
Former Mayor Quigg. Oh, you have to unmute.
Dan, you're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
You're
Can
good.
you hear me? Can you hear me now?
We hear you perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and I want to thank Mackenzie for presenting the work program, and she did a wonderful job. I want to say that, you know, the Park and Recreation Commission took this work program very seriously. We spent an extensive amount of time discussing this and, you know, getting it ready to be presented to the City Council. One of the things that was very difficult to work on this was to take care of the fees for the Park and Recreation Commission. And that took quite a bit of time with the subcommittee and then also the full Park and Recreation Committee. So I hope this program is acceptable to the City Council. It looks like priorities that are very important to the community. And I would hope that the City Council would go along with these recommendations. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Former Mayor Quigg, it's very evident to me that this was a very thoughtful work plan. Do we have any other council comments or questions from anybody? Do we have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I'm sorry, I didn't get an answer. So I guess that means I should just assume it's no.
Councilwoman Schneider, yes, we will continue to look.
I'm sorry, Mackenzie, you're breaking up.
One,
Mackenzie, I can't hear you.
She said she will continue to do the research on that and see if she can bring a plan forward to you.
Thank you.
Is that a motion now? Councilmember Schneider?
I'm still debating voting no. I've been bringing up aquatics every year.
Do we have a second?
Second by Andrews Fung.
Okay, let's call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Schneider,
Abstain.
Councilmember Holliber,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva,
Yes.
the City Council adopts the 2022 Parks and Recreation Commission work plan by the vote of 4-0-1 with Councilmember Schneider abstaining.
Thank you, Park and Rec, for all your work. Next up is, let's see, Sister Cities Commission work plan. Mackenzie, you have this one too?
I'm going to take this one. if you
Okay.
don't mind. Good
Not at
evening,
all.
Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Robert Goschuk, Chairman of the Sister Cities Commission. I'm pleased to present a brief summary of the Sister Cities Commission work plan for calendar year 2022. Among the commission's goals, protocols have been drafted last year and forwarded to the city clerk for review, but have not yet been formally adopted by the commission. This process should be completed over the next couple of months for approval by the city council. Little has been done in the past to coordinate with the Arts Committee, and some focus on these opportunities should be made going forward. Far too long has passed since we've had contact with La Serena, Chile. So we wish to invite a visit with our commission by the Council General with a view to encouraging a visit to La Serena by a delegation from Millbrae once travel restrictions may be lifted. We're in the process of arranging a telephone conference between the mayor of Ramallah, Palestine, and Mayor Oliva, some of our commissioners, and other local interested parties. We're awaiting several suggested dates from Ramallah for such a call, which would need to take place at 10 a.m. here in Millbrae and 7 p.m. in Ramallah. Finally, planning for activities with Dongguan, China should occur later this year, again being hindered by travel restrictions. So thank you, and I'll be very glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, former Mayor Gottschalk.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from council? I have a comment about your restrictions. I am so sorry for you because that was so much fun every year to hear about trips that this committee took.
Well, hopefully we've got them in our future.
Perfect. Good attitude. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chair Gottschalk. You had approached me last year about a worldwide, with all of our friendship and sister cities, planting an olive tree at the same time, which I think is just a fabulous idea, but I didn't see it on your work plan. Are you dropping that item?
I'm very glad you brought that up. No, not at all. In fact, a number of us are going to go to the rec center site at 1 o'clock tomorrow and look in person as to where we think the most appropriate site for the tree would be. And the plan is, for those who have not are not familiar with it, is that Millbrae, Mosta Malta, and Ramallah, Palestine, at the very same moment, simultaneously, will plant an olive tree in their local sites to commemorate our relationships. The thinking is that it may very well take place in October because that's better for some of the participants, but that date remains to be seen. But thank you for reminding me.
Thank you. I bring this up because after what happened with the park benches at a December and November council meeting, I wonder if this is another thing that could be coordinated with the Park and Recs Commission, just to put that out there so that everything runs smoothly. And I wish you the best of luck. I will help donate for the tree.
Thank you.
Is that a motion, Councilmember Schneider?
That is a motion to approve, yes. As long as we're not going to stop them from their tree planting. Yes, that's a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Can we have a vote, please?
Councilmember Schneider,
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes,
The City Council adopts the 2022 Sister Cities Commission Work Plan by a vote of 5-0.
thank you. We'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Let me look. That would be for Nathan Chan. This is for something that is not on the agenda. Nathan?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you during this section of the meeting. I wanted to use my time to bring two things up before the council. I was really happy to see at the end of 2020 that the council was resolved to have a more respectful relationship and cordial relationship with Councilmember Schneider. And I just wanted to make sure that old negative patterns of behavior weren't repeating themselves. I noticed at the meeting just before this, Councilmember Schneider was not online and the meeting was started in her absence. I know sometimes this can happen, but I don't think it would have hurt to wait another 30 seconds for Councilmember Schneider to come on the line and have a full roll call. So I just want to make sure that, this council continues to respect Councilmember Schneider and the work that she is doing on the citizens' behalf, along with all the rest of you. The other item that I wanted to bring to the council's attention is the disposable foodware ordinance that the council passed last year that's due to take effect probably in about a month or 2 months time, if I remember correctly. I don't see very many changes in the restaurants in terms of how they're serving things. Still continue to receive lots of plastic foodware. I have talked to some of the businesses about this. 3 specifically, at least 2 had received outreach materials from the city and claimed they were aware of it. But one, boba place, the person that I asked didn't seem to be aware of this impending change at all. I would just encourage the city to possibly do another outreach to the businesses to make sure that they are prepared for this transition, which, as I said at the previous meeting and a number of speakers said, is sorely needed. There was a news article just a week or 2 ago about some researchers in Europe saying that we had sort of crossed this boundary where there was more plastic mass in the ocean than biomass. So definitely needed, but are our businesses ready to make this transition? I think the city should do the appropriate follow-up to make sure that they are set up for success. Thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, is anybody else like to comment on public communications? With that being said, we're going to go to the consent calendar, which we have one item because we are removing item number 6 from consent. So we are to receive and file monthly general fund financial report for the period ending December 31st, 2021. Do we have a motion for this consent item?
Move to approve the consent calendar number 5.
Second.
Can we have a vote, please?
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
The City Council approves consent calendar item 5 by a vote 5-0.
Thank you. Next item, item number 6 is the Recreation Center Design and Construction Update and Resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute a contract change order for the design build contract with Block Construction for the amount not to exceed $119,000 for the Millbrae Recreation Center project window covering installation work. Do we have a staff report on this?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to introduce our senior city engineer, project manager Jane Cow. We also have Mr. William Gordon with our architectural firm ELS that's here to answer any questions that you may have this evening. So I'll hand it over to Ms. Jane Cow for a presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm going to screen share now. Let's see. How does that look?
Beautiful.
Looks great.
Perfect, thank you. So tonight I'm here to give an update on the Millbrae Recreation Center. Our agenda for tonight includes a slide on the council action, an update on construction design schedule, as well as budget. So the action tonight would be to receive this update and adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute a contract change order for the design build contract with Block Construction for an amount not to exceed $119,000 for the rec center project window covering installation work. Next up, we have construction update. And as you are aware, we do this every month. We're now up to 42 seconds. Here we go. Can you believe this is just a little over a year ago that this building went up so quickly and so beautiful? Here you go. And this is as of yesterday.
Wow.
All right, so I don't have a slide on this, but we had a very wet December. So we essentially had to stop work, site work, which started in November. As you recall, last council meeting, I reported that we had to close the Lincoln Circle parking lot was being demolished to start the site work. So we mostly stopped that in December and everything was focused on the interior while the rain poured. So in the interior, lighting, plumbing fixtures, those were being installed, tiling of the bathroom walls and floors, interior doors, windows, they're in progress. You'll see some pictures later that the interior is painted already. Low voltage work also continues. Controls for the HVAC system is being installed. And one of the bigger milestone that we reached over the last month is that the building is actually energized by permanent power, so PG&E power. So the meter's been set up and it's energized. So I'm gonna, oops, sorry about that. I don't know why I did that, but here are some pictures, some closer shots of the lobby as well as the southern side towards Laurel Circle. Here is the community room terrace as well as the community room. And then the picture on the right is where the arrival circle is. And you're looking at right here, that's the pathway down to the preschool entrance. Some site works started back up since we had about 2 weeks of dry weather. They're currently installing a concrete retaining wall. And this is something new and was not originally anticipated. And the reason for this is as they were grading and excavating and doing site work for the parking lot, they uncover a lot of roots from those mature trees. And to ensure those mature trees will survive, what we're doing is building a retaining wall, so holding up soil for the roots. And that minimized the pruning of roots. And then the picture on the right here, it's the preschool player. You see that they've been painting the walls recently. Onto the interior, here's two pictures. One on the left is of the classrooms. It's being taken from classroom 1 into classroom 2. You see here there's a partition wall that hasn't been installed, but the track is there. And this on the right-hand side is the art classroom that you're seeing. This next picture, this is the senior lounge that you're seeing. with the circular lights. And this is taken from this corridor. And this corridor leads to the second floor balcony. And then two more pictures. Here we have on the left, one of the restrooms all tiled up. And as you can see, plumbing fixtures has been installed. And the picture on the left, sorry, the right, it's kitchen. So this is the commercial kitchen hood you're seeing that they're working on equipment installation. Next up, design update. So there's 3 items, reception desk, great hall chairs, and window coverings. For the reception desk, this is the style that we've decided on to move forward. But the layout would be per this highlighted image here. This rounded corner would be here, and actually be reversed. This higher counter height would actually be on this side. And then here we have an ADA lower counter height, which will be on this side. So it's an expanded version of this image here. And this would allow for meeting ADA as well as large enough for 2 staff. Next, we have great hall chairs. We had originally recommended a plastic chair here at $92 each. The subcommittee thought the chair was not as comfortable as it should be. So we looked into other options, and now we're recommending this chair on the right. This chair is about $40 to $60 each. And there will be 300 of them. So by going with this recommended chair, we will be saving about $10,000 to $15,000. But the pricing does not include the cost of dollies. Now on to window coverings. So window coverings were excluded from the stipulated sum or the design build contract. And they're needed for both sun protection, especially rooms with projectors, to ensure we can properly see them, the projected image, and for privacy, so staff area, conference room, fitness room, etc. We would like to amend the budget and approve the change order of $119,000, which includes a 10% contingency. We had previously estimated this cost to be about $150,000. So now I want to introduce William Gordon from ELS Architecture and Urban Design, who will walk you through the window coverings throughout the building.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good, very good. So I'll walk from the left side of the plan to the right, and we'll start in the staff work areas. All the lines that are blue are showing shades that have a 1% open. So you can see on a bright day, you can see out somewhat, but they do provide privacy, which is nice. And so they're both used for privacy as well as for sun protection. And you can see they're on the perimeter windows as well as the private offices there and the conference room as well. Right there, yes. And then moving to the right side of that, over in the preschool area, there will be blackout shades, and that's primarily for nap time for the kids. And those will be in all locations except for where they're glass doors. So not possible to, it's not recommended to put them on the doors themselves because they tend to get damaged quite quickly. If there are shades that can go up and down. So, and these are all roller shades that are manually operated. So you can see them around the perimeter windows as well as along the circulation corridor inside the building as well there, yes. And then moving on to the game room, there'll be some shades on the perimeter windows. And they'll be in all locations except for the glass doors, but they'll be on the transom above the glass doors. And that likewise is the same for the fitness studio to the right of that. And those for shade and some privacy on the outside, but also on the corridor to provide some privacy at the windows there. But again, there are glass doors that will not have shades on them. But I think it's okay, you know, as long as people aren't just, if you're somebody stopping there, which is unlikely, for too long, you could look in, but I think in general, it will provide a good amount of privacy there. And then moving on to the community room, in addition to the plan that you can see here, we'll also be showing you some elevations, interior elevations that I think will help explain what's going on. But those are blackout shades around the perimeter of that room. And they will be in all locations again, except for at those 4 pairs of exterior exit doors, but there will be over the doors on the transom windows above them. And then you can see there, those blue rectangles are the switches in those rooms to operate the upper windows in the room, which would be difficult to get to otherwise. So moving on to the level 2, again, in the upper left-hand part of the room. So part of the plan. So we've got the classrooms, and there we've got blackout shades around the perimeter. And that's to help when the AV system, the monitor projectors are being used in the room, so that there's not too much light flooding the room through all those beautiful big expanses of glass, which were really nice to see in those pictures we just saw. But anyway, so the shades, the blackout shades will be around the perimeter, and there'll also be, there's one location where you can see them at the interior where there's a rather large window there. And then we've got on the south side of the building on level 2, we've got that nice balcony that has some good shade protection above it. So we feel for the in most situations and for most of the year, it will provide good sun protection for a large part of the senior lounge. So it's a way to, we thought that shades weren't mandatory there. So they've not been provided. But at the conference room where we want to have some privacy, they have been provided just to the right of the senior lounge. They provided both at the exterior windows, except for the glass door, and at the interior windows, except for the glass door there as well. And then moving over to the community room, there are high clerestory windows in that room, and they will have blackout shades as well. And those will be motorized with a flip of a switch. So then these are elevations of the 4, on the left side, elevations of the 4 walls of the community room. And as you can see, they're the green shades, which are manually operated around the perimeter exterior walls of the room where there's glass in all locations, except for where there are doors. But again, you can see where the transom glass above the doors will get shades. And to the extent possible, these shades will all be on one roller so that they can all be brought up and down with a single chain. And then up above, we're using a system, it'll be blackout shades. And as I mentioned previously, those will be motorized. They will be hung from the bottom of the mullions, the top mullions, and then they will go up and down. And on the north and south side of the room, where we have the triangular shaped clerestory windows, altogether they form basically a triangles. Those will be individual shades, and that's a little bit tricky because of the slope there. But what's going to happen is there's going to be a housing which the roller shades will fit in, and then which will be parallel to the floor of the room. And then right above that housing where there's a triangular sliver, it'll be filled in with a piece of metal as well. So we've got an image on the next page that I believe that could just show what that will look like. So you can see there on the top of this page that what you're seeing is the housing for the shades in those locations. And I guess one other thing on the page before, just showing the fabrics that'll be used. We're looking at warm whites. I think the pearl is showing up a little bit more yellow than it actually is in reality, but they're warm whites to go with the warm white that will be on the wall, so they'll blend in nicely. And so you're seeing the pearl on the left is for the blackout shades. The corn silk on the right is for the 1% open shades. And then the cloud on the lower left is for the upper clerestory roller shades, blackout shades in this room. So I think that about covers it.
Thank you, William. And I'm gonna pick it up where he left off. So we're, next topic is schedule. So we've updated the slide to say that we've completed the exterior. The exterior is completed about 99%. There's still some painting and minor stuff here and there, but overall the exterior is complete. Interior and site improvements will continue on until February or so. Substantial, it will be in April, and grand opening in June as previously shown. And then in terms of the rainy season, right, we're currently projecting a 12 days potential delay. However, substantial delay is still projected to be in April. Blocks is working through, the potential weather delay by putting best effort into the site work now while it's dry. But they did express some issues and concern with material availability and shipping delay. So that is currently being evaluated, but has not been materialized. We'll provide an update as soon as we hear more. Current budget snapshot. In terms of construction, we're at about 85% complete. The design build contract, we've expended about 21 million of the 24.5 million. And I want to mention that the 21 million includes any or the expenditure in part of the change order that's been completed. So, so that will end up being higher because in terms of contract amount, we're at 24.5, but we have also authorized about 88%, so 1.9 million in change orders. So showing here, the contingency amount is 2.18. We have encumbered about 1.9 million of that. And then for Swinnerton CMPM contract, we're at about $1 million of the 1.17 million. Here is the change order summary. Since the last update, we approved 5 additional change order. That includes landscape design changes, PV DC disconnect, that's the solar system on the roof, and the disconnect required for that system to be installed or to be roughed in now. We did the signage around the building in terms of color and finish to a more upgraded look. TMN grading, that's time and material for grading within the Lincoln Circle parking lot, as well as that small hillside up to Taylor Middle School. They've encountered some wet soil, so they had to over excavate and install drain rock. So that's the unforeseen cost there. And then we also approve a change order to thicken the slab edge around the community room patio for the installation of the concrete, excuse me, concrete benches. So this cost is actually included in our FF&E budget, but because Block is doing the work, we have approved it as a contingency, or we use a contingency fund to pay for this right now. There's 4 pending or under review change order. First one is the window shades, which we're presenting today. Next is the retaining wall at trees, which I talked about earlier with the image. To preserve the trees, we have to build a retaining wall. And then jute netting installation, that's a cost for installing jute netting along the side of Lincoln Circle, where it's relatively steep, and that would help stabilize the slope while the plants establish themselves and grow and start holding the soil back. And then lastly, it's electrical for fire table. As you recall, council approved the fire table to be installed in the community room patio. There is an electrical igniter that needs to be installed. So there is a cost for that. And that's also part of the FF&E budget that was approved. Another project cost that we're tracking is the ERRCS system, the emergency responder radio communication system. We recently had a third party come in and test the site to ensure that it meets the requirements of county fire and the county. So that report has been completed and it's currently under review. So just an update on that. So that concludes my presentation. Just a quick recap is today's action is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute a contract change order for design build contract with block construction for amount not to exceed $119,000 for the Millbrae Recreation Center window covering installation work and amend the project budget by $119,000. Any questions?
There are a few questions. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Cow, and everybody working on this. I went away for 10 days and we came back and it was just amazing how it's looking. That said, I have a couple of questions. In the staff report, and you mentioned it now, that the building is now electrical live and PG&E, but the city of Millbrae agreed to go to Peninsula Clean Energy years ago under their 100% renewable program. Are we planning on switching the electric at the rec center over to Peninsula Clean Energy, especially since they're giving us solar, not just on the rec center, but potentially on City Hall too?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Schneider. Yes, we needed PG&E to for the installation of the new equipment and approval of the meter and get the building energized. But yes, we do intend to move forward with PCE on our electrical billing.
That would be lovely. Thank you. Number two, you brought up the cement wall. Now I know that this is not something approved in the FF&E or any plans for the rec center, but the Millbrae Culture Arts Advisory Committee's work plan includes a mosaic project. And just really quickly, the mosaic project brings in a professional artist who works with the community to come up with a theme, and then the community builds the mosaic. And if that wall is just plain concrete there, that might make a perfect location. There is no funding identified for this yet. I'm not saying that there's any money, but Culture Arts, it is in their work plan, and that seems like a really cool opportunity. Finally, then, oh, and a question along that line, Culture Arts is trying to plan for the annual art show in person, they hope, and they're looking at September or October. Do you think the facility will be fully available for the public to attend at that time?
Yes, I certainly think so.
Okay, that's good because they debated it at their meeting a couple of weeks ago. And then finally, I was the one that wrote to the city manager. SFO Noise Roundtable, the ground-based noise committee that I chair, did a spectral analysis noise study a year ago. And the results showed that, lo and behold, Central Park can hit low frequency noise decibels over 80 decibels. And that is not for the flights that are flying right over Central Park, which, Jane, I can't remember if you were at the movie that night. It was under the movie nights and the airplanes were right over Central Park, not 200 feet above. So I'm just curious if the noise or the blackout shades have fabric that might also act as a noise dampener. I know I might be asking for too much, but Mr. Gordon, has there any work on trying to, I'm just thinking of having a lovely yoga experience in our rec center and 80 decibels come slamming into the windows.
Right, which would not be pleasant, no. These shades have, what we've tried to maximize is, what we've tried to do is make them as small as possible because they're not fitting into a cavity in the ceiling. So we're using a fairly thin fabric that allows for the roller and the housing for that roller to be as small as possible. They might have some acoustic qualities, but we have not I don't think that's going to be a major part of them. I think it's
Okay.
really going to be more about keeping the sightlines as good as possible.
It's a shame. The airport is absolutely refusing to do any mitigation
Mhm.
and or at the same time say that you cannot mitigate low frequency noise. So as the airport comes back, 75% capacity, up to 71 million passengers, we're going to get even noisier. So if there's anything you can do, any miracle out there, I'm looking for fabrics for my own house. If there's a whole new category of fabrics that do noise dampening, just think about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Good work.
Thank you.
Former Mayor Quigg.
Okay, thank you very much. 2 points. Number one, on the shades, how many windows do we have and how many will be mechanical and how many will be electric assist?
Jane, would you like me to take this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the electric assist windows will be the shades, will be the purple shades in this room. They won't actually be that color, but just to diagrammatically, those are the ones that are difficult to get to with the chain. So we'll have mechanical.
So percentage wise, what do you have? 20% electrical and 80% manual?
I'd say that's about right. Yes.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to go over that because your program, you were explaining it, and then some you said were assist and some weren't, and I wanted to find out what was what. Okay, thank you very much. The other item I'd like to ask Jane is on the change orders. Do we ever have any change orders where we receive a credit, where we have changed something that is beneficial to us and requires less construction, so we get a change order credit? I didn't see any of those on your presentation.
Sorry, just thinking back, we did have one credit. Let me see if I can find it on here. It's been a while since I looked at the whole list, but yeah, for ceiling fans, it's one of the items.
Good.
So originally the ductwork was gonna be within the community room as well as the fitness terrace. The engineer as well as the architect worked and decided that by putting in ceiling fans, you're actually going to save money and produce and give a better results in terms of the conditions inside these rooms.
So how much credit do we get for that change order?
I think just shy of $5,000.
Okay, well, yeah, that's good. At least it's not all going one way. I'm glad to see that there are some opportunities where we make changes where we get credits, because generally change orders are always on the plus side and not very many on the negative side. But thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Holliver.
Yeah, thank you. And also to that note, I believe there was a savings from the chairs that we selected. So is that accounted for?
So this is what the orders have not been completed and ordered, so we're still working out the details. The potential saving is $10,000 to $15,000, and this is a part of the FF&E fund and not part of the design build contract. So what we don't spend will be there. Yes.
Okay. And then in terms of the opening, so it said that at this time substantial completion is expected by April and grand opening June. So what is sort of the delta there between the substantial completion and the grand opening? What is that phase? What happens after substantial completion? Is it still the finishing touches on the building?
Sure, we can. Let me clarify. So the contract actually states that the substantial completion, after substantial completion, they have 90 days until final contract completions. What we think, and based on our discussions at our meetings, we didn't think that they'll need the full 90 days. And usually after substantial completion, we do a substantial completion punch list walk where we inspect the building and see if there's anything that is not acceptable, then we'll ask them to fix it. And that's, you know, within that time frame is when we're going to clean things up and fix things up that are not done correctly or needs more attention. We feel that after substantial completion, we'll probably take about a month to iron things out. And then after that, even though it's not final completed in terms of reaching the phase of final completion, we can start moving things in and having furniture installed and stuff like that.
Okay, so potentially staff could begin to move in May?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think if possible, we should also be looking at, you know, I don't know when summer camp starts, but I believe it's sometime in early June, as kind of maybe a drop dead date in terms of when to have everybody in place there and to have the grand opening ceremony. You know, a lot of little things to check off between now and then. So we're sort of cognizant of that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember
Jane,
Fung.
good evening, Jane. This is Linda Risoli with Swinerton Management. I just wanted to expand a little bit on that. When we reach substantial completion, essentially the building is complete and will function as it should for its desired intent. From substantial to final, that's often when we're putting all the HVAC units, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning units through their paces. We're ensuring that they provide the right amount of air and the right temperatures. We're adjusting controls. We're burning in the light fixtures, and we're making sure any training for the mechanical units and lights are completed with the city of Millbrae, and all their staff are walked through and comfortable and understand how the building will function and how it needs to be maintained, in addition to any cleanup items that Jane mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good information. Councilmember Fung, do you have a question? Comment?
Yeah, oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to touch on a little bit of the contingency that is remaining. If we can go back a couple of slides where you talk about the progress. There you go, that's it. So we got about 11% of the, 12%, excuse me, of the contingency left, about $260,000. Is there anything else that you expected that might require the use of the remaining contingency, Jane?
So far, what we're tracking here is on this slide, the pending under review change orders. So that's if we do move forward with approving all this, that's going to add on to that amount. But tonight we are asking for a budget amendment of $119,000 for the window shades to increase that contingency fund. Other than that, we are working on, there's a couple minor things like hardware changes that we're working through. Low voltage, we have a separate contingency that's already built into the approved change orders. So any of those changes, which we're working through as well, will come out of that encumbered fund. So nothing large. I don't foresee anything large at this point.
You mentioned that there's the ERLC system that has been tested. What was the test result? I know you're still evaluating, but are they recommending that we install that system?
No, actually, the test result came back very well, and that result's been passed on, and they're currently reviewing the test results, ensuring that. Go ahead.
So you're saying that there's a possibility that we may not have to go through with the ERLC system?
Right. That is our hope. And that's the way it's trending at this moment.
Excellent, because that would be a major saving there. But just want to make sure that all our emergency first responder is still able to communicate in case there is an emergency, make sure that, within the building, should these things occur, obviously. And I assume you're going to update us as this progresses. So, and how is the donation status for the?
I apologize, Councilman Fung. I don't have the details of that. with me
Councilmember
tonight.
Fung, we could get a report for that from a different committee, but for now, this is for an amount not to exceed 119,000 for the center project window coverings. So if we can, sorry,
Okay, yeah.
I know it's easy to want to know that, but we'll get a report for you at a later date on that.
Okay, just one more comment and I'll be done. So knowing that the schedule is on track, which is a great thing, very nice to see that. If we're able to have grand opening sometime in June, I was just thinking, perhaps, I know that we have a Council of City coming up in February that we're going to be hosting, but it would be a great idea to be able to host that Council of City sometime in June when we have a grand opening so that we can show the entire county, all the cities and all the dignitaries our brand new rec center, if we can just sort of switch that with another city. Just want to put it out there. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
We can work on that. They actually give us the dates, but that doesn't mean we can't have a special meeting and invite everybody. So comment well taken. Thank you. So are you finished, Councilmember Fung? Did you want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Vice Mayor Pappen, are you going to second this?
I am. Thank you. Yes.
Can we please call for the vote?
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Holliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Aye.
The City Council received the Recreation Center Design and Construction Update and approved the resolution authorizing the city manager as designee to execute a contract change order for the design build contract with Block Construction for an amount not to exceed $119,000 for the Millbrae Recreation Center project window covering installation work by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
In the future, when we get a proposal, if we have a great savings, can we also bring that up instead of change orders like this? Be
Yeah,
very
like
nice.
former Mayor Quigg's $5,000 fine.
Yeah, exactly. A few other things, the savings on the chairs, a whole bunch of things.
Beautiful. Good idea. Okay, could we please move to public hearing? Item number 7, of which is the extension of the urgency ordinance establishing temporary objective standards for 2-unit residential developments and urban lot splits, and affordability requirements for urban lot splits that result in more than 2 dwelling units in single-family residential zones pursuant to Senate Bill 9. We need action on this, but before we do that, we need to open up the public hearing. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to speak on this?
Mayor, if I may, if you would like, we could do a quick staff briefing and update.
Prior to, yes,
report
that's a
for you.
great idea. Thank
Okay. I'd like to introduce our Community Development Director, Ms. Darcy Smith, for a quick report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. Thank you for letting me present on this item tonight. My name is Darcy Smith. I'm the City of Millbrae Community Development Director, and I'll be presenting item number 7. The objective for this item is fairly simple. As presented in the staff report, it is to hold a public hearing and accept the public comments, and then for the council to discuss and consider adoption by a 4/5 vote of this extension to the urgency ordinance, which establishes temporary objective standards for 2-unit residential developments and urban lot splits, and affordability requirements for urban lot splits that result in more than 2 units in single-family residential zones pursuant to Senate Bill 9. Very quick staff report. I'll start with recapping how we got here tonight. Back on December 8th, the City Council directed city staff and the city attorney to prepare this urgency ordinance establishing these standards. So there was a special meeting on December 16th where the City Council adopted this ordinance. The first adoption is valid for 45 days. So on January 30th, this would expire unless the extension is approved tonight. These urgency ordinances are fairly special, and they're regulated by Government Code 65858, which stipulates, among other things, that this ordinance can be extended no more than 2 times. And this first extension, as stated in the ordinance, would be for 10.5 months. So within that 10.5 month period, we have a work plan that you approved actually months ago, back in October, for the preparation of the comprehensive zoning ordinance. So that work is well underway. We're working with consultants, and we're about to finalize the date in February for a community meeting. If anyone from the public wants to get on our mailing list, please email us at the planning division and we'll make sure you get notified, but also check the city website and social media for that date when we finalize it. And then in March or April, we'll come back with a study session on the council to get policy direction on some key items, some of which you've already given us through this urgency ordinance, but we have many more questions to ask you and pose policy questions to you to get feedback, so we can finalize the zoning ordinance. And then at the very latest, by the end of the summer, we come back for adoption by the city council after the planning commission reviews it and makes a recommendation to you, since this would be a zoning ordinance. We'll just pause and say that to date, no SB 9 applications have been submitted to the city. We have had conversations, but no valid conversations have been held, meaning no valid applications have been proffered at this point. And since Millbrae is largely built out, we just don't have a lot of vacant lots or lots that appear to be, really well suited for these quick submitted applications. And that's consistent with what my colleagues around the peninsula have experienced. There hasn't been a rush of applications, so we have time to work on that comprehensive ordinance as I presented previously. So quick summary of Senate Bill 9. I've recapped this in a short few slides, since my previous presentations covered it in a lot more detail. But it went into effect January 1 and essentially allows for the creation of up to 4 new units on a single family parcel by a ministerial approval process. But there are specified objective standards and conditions in state law or in local ordinances, as we're here tonight, that are required to be met. This shows a prototypical streetscape with 2 units per lot. And I want to just quickly emphasize, and I included a site plan here that shows what it really means when we're talking about 4 units on a lot, because there's been some confusion, especially when we talk to members of the community. Someone can take a single family property and add a new unit on the parcel, or they can convert 1 unit if it was quite large, for example, into 2 units. Or they could do what's shown here, which is to take an existing lot and subdivide it into 2 lots. That's what's called the urban lot split. So I want to emphasize that as it relates to the affordability requirements. And then add 2 units. There's a cap of 2 per lot in the urgency ordinance, and that's what this shows here in this prototypical site plan. So the urgency ordinance, as you adopted in December, has not changed. The most critical item that you put in that was to cap the number of units located on a lot to 2. Without doing that, there could be ADUs, accessory dwelling units, or junior ADUs, which are already permitted under a different part of state law. And so you directed staff and the city attorney to write this urgency ordinance to put the cap on the number of units and to state that ADUs and JADUs are not permitted for SB 9 projects that include the urban lot splits. You also directed staff to include an affordability requirement. We discussed that in a lot of detail in our past meetings. And what that states in the ordinance is that if an SB 9 project results in more than 2 SB 9 dwelling units, at least 1 SB 9 dwelling unit is required to be an affordable unit at the low income level for 55 years with a covenant that runs with the land and is recorded on both lots. The other provision in the ordinance is a requirement for setbacks. Any SB 9 dwelling unit constructed must have at least a 4-foot rear and side yard setback. That's the maximum allowed under state law. But without that in place, there would be no setbacks. So you felt that this was important. So this extension, as I mentioned, for this urgency ordinance for you tonight for a vote would be for the maximum period of 10.5 months as allowed in the government code. And we are confident that within that time, we will be back before you with the comprehensive zoning code. So the action before staff tonight, as I stated previously, is to hold the public hearing and consider adoption, which does require a 4/5 vote of this extension to the urgency ordinance, which is established the temporary objective standards, which are contained in the ordinance. So that concludes my staff report. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Council, any questions? Any members of the public with any questions? Great job, Darcy. Oh, we have Nathan Chan.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the council on this important matter. I imagine that this urgency ordinance will be renewed tonight, but I do want to argue again that the deed restriction portion of this ordinance should be removed. I understand the council's desire to build more affordable housing in Millbrae, but the fact of the matter is that you can't simply legislate affordable housing into existence. The way affordable housing gets built is typically it uses either public land or land that's acquired by a developer with the money, with the assistance of public subsidies, and with density bonuses so that the financing of such an affordable housing project works out. That there are no mechanisms in this particular part of the urgency ordinance would seem to guarantee that no affordable housing or additional units of any kind would be built. If the council was really interested in promoting the building of affordable housing throughout the city of Millbrae, they should look to policies like what was passed in that's being considered in Berkeley today, where an affordable housing overlay is being considered across the entire city, whereby 100% affordable housing projects would be allowed to take advantage of density bonuses and form-based codes, etc. I also think that this provision is very confusing. I've tried to read it through a couple of times and I'm still confused. So I would like to ask the council whether this provision and staff, whether this provision for deed restriction would restrict the ability of a homeowner or a home-owning family to be able to do any of the following three scenarios, which seem completely reasonable. First, would it be possible for a homeowner to create an SB9 unit for another member of their family or members of the family to move into who might otherwise not be able to move into the neighborhood, but would prefer to have their own living space rather than sharing a single family home or living in an ADU? Two, maybe there's a senior who has a single family house today, but would like to downsize in place by splitting their lot into one part of their house that is accessible to them, but they would be able to finance such a conversion through splitting their house into a duplex and renting out the other portion, or perhaps even selling it. Or three, what if two families would only be able to afford to move to Millbrae if they pooled their finances together to purchase a single family lot together, but then still wanted to split the lot in two so they could each have separate living spaces? All of these scenarios seem perfectly reasonable ways to take advantage of SB9, and it's not at all clear whether this deed restriction would completely invalidate any of these options. Thank you.
We have one more public comment, Margaret.
Hi, Council Member, Mayor, and Vice Mayor. Thank you so much for supporting this initiative. I truly feel that this will be a great initiative in solving the California housing crisis. However, I do share the perspective of the previous speaker that we should not mandate the second lot to be the affordable housing unit, because most of the property owners in Millbrae, they are just property owners, they are not developers. To mandate a second lot to be an affordable housing, it would be very challenging to most homeowners. So I therefore would highly recommend mayors and vice mayor as well as councilmen to consider the mandate for second lot to be affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, closing public comment. Can I close the public hearing? And do we have council comment? Do we have?
Can we get an answer to some of those questions, just for clarification?
Perfect. Darcy, did you take note on the questions?
Yeah, what I heard was a question, what was this in the scenarios was adding one unit. And as I stated in the presentation, the urgency ordinance, the affordability requirement would be triggered for an SB9 project that results in more than 2 SB9 dwelling units. So the scenarios that were described of you have one house and you add a second house, it would not trigger this affordability requirement. Essentially, it's the third house that would trigger it. So I showed you the picture of the site plan where someone takes, one lot and subdivides it into 2 lots, and then each lot has 2 units. That would be the scenario. And that's kind of, I'll emphasize, the most aggressive scenario, because you'd have to essentially take a big lot and subdivide it.
And this, Darcy, excuse me, but this is a temporary objective. So by us voting on this tonight, we are just buying time so that we can further investigate all of this information. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. And again, our intention is to come back to you as fast as possible after the community meeting, which will be in February. And that's where we hope to talk to the property owners, to the design community who we've talked to. They're the ones trying to tinker with, the site plans and lot subdivisions to try to figure out is this feasible, when they get calls from property owners and get feedback. And then we'll come to you with policy questions at a study session dedicated to this in March or no later than April to stay on schedule. And that's where we'll ask you these policy questions around, do you want to continue this affordability requirement? Would you maybe want to look at in lieu fees, which has come up a few other speakers in the past? Or, do you want us to study it in a lot more detail, working with other, with city attorney and other housing specialists as we worked through in the past, such as in our last affordable housing regulations that you approved last summer.
So I would encourage Nathan and Margaret to attend those meetings, going to express their opinions there.
And we'll also have some surveys. That was another thing I thought might be helpful. We'll either have like a Survey Monkey that we post on city's website, or we'll run a survey at the community workshop to get some community feedback on some specific topics.
Thank you. So remember, council, this is just a temporary objective. So we can buy some time to do this correctly. And I think this was actually established by Councilmember Holliber. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Smith, I spoke on this at the California Mayor's meeting late December, early January, and explained what process we went through. Other cities up and down the state are doing this. Today, I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting. They're looking at it, but it was just an informational meeting. I think as each city works on language, we'll end up with more things that can help us with the final ordinance. But I am happy, if there is no further council comments, to make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilmember Schneider.
And I wish I had taken notes, Darcy.
We have a Councilmember Holliber second that. Can we have a vote, please?
Member Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember Holliber?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Pappen?
Yes.
Mayor Oliva?
Yes.
The City Council approves an extension of the urgency ordinance establishing temporary objective standards for 2-unit residential developments and urban lot splits, and affordability requirements for urban lot splits that result in more than 2 dwelling units in single-family residential zones pursuant to Senate Bill 9 by a vote of 4-0-1 with Councilmember Fung abstaining.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8 is another public hearing, a public hearing on adoption of proposed updates to the City of Millbrae's service and fee schedule for the Recreation Department fees. And I'd like to open up the public hearing. I would imagine that there is a report from staff prior to people that would like to speak on it from the public.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce our Recreation Director, Ms. Mackenzie Brady, for a staff presentation.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the City Council. I will go ahead and share my screen for the presentation. All right, can you see my screen?
Perfectly.
This is
We're not hearing you though, Mackenzie. We can't hear you. Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
All right, as you mentioned, this is the public hearing on the adoption of the proposed updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for Recreation Department fees. The fees that we will be reviewing are the new Recreation Center rental fees for the facilities in the new Recreation Center, as well as updated camp fees. Just giving a background, in 2019, Ballard King and Associates completed a market and operational analysis for the Recreation Center restoration project. And at that time of this operational analysis completion, the program and concept plan was based on the center that had been developed by Group 4 Architecture. And the size and rooms said to be in the facility at that time are different than what is now being built, which is a building that is better suited for our community's needs. In order to make reservations in the new facility, we need to have fees set. And so staff asked for the assistance from the Parks and Recreation Commission, and they created a Recreation Center facility rental pricing subcommittee who worked on this project along with staff. What they did is they evaluated the operational analysis that Ballard King and Associates did, as well as the surrounding cities, what they're offering for facility pricing, and evaluate all of this, and then presented clarifications and recommendations for this pricing, the categories, tiers, and policies to the Parks and Recreation Commission in October. The tiers, the pricing category tiers were rearranged to show a discount reflected for residents versus a greater cost for non-residents, with all of the rates in descending order. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you can see here that the new tiers are they're rearranged in a different order. And so Millbrae resident rates and Millbrae-based businesses are a base price, and that's category B. And then non-Millbrae residents and non-Millbrae-based businesses are base price plus 20%. So you can see that that would be more expensive than Millbrae residents. So it starts off with the most expensive rate and works its way down. And then category C is a non-Millbrae based nonprofit. So nonprofit that's not based in Millbrae or a civic organization, right? And same base price, so same as what a Millbrae resident or a business in Millbrae might pay. And then category D is a Millbrae-based nonprofit and civic organization. And so that would be a nonprofit or civic org based in Millbrae, and that's the base price minus 35%. So that is the least expensive option. So what the subcommittee did is wanted to orient it with the most expensive option, moving down to the least expensive option. And so how our pricing tier currently is essentially category A, category B, category A, category D, then category C. So there's not, it doesn't make sense in terms of the order. So they put it in an order that makes more sense. And then for the new Recreation Center facility fee, so there are weekday rates and weekend rates for all of the facilities. And so you can see here we have categories A, B, C, and D, and these are the weekday rates. And they wanted to, the subcommittee wanted to make it simple in terms of having consistent pricing across the board. So like size rooms have like prices, like rates. And you can see that the base rate would be in categories B and C. Category A is going to be 20% more than category B and C. And then category D is going to be 35% less than categories B and C. And so you can see what I meant by that descending order of pricing for that structure. And if you, just to pull out a few things here, if you scroll down or if you look down further, you can see that classrooms 201 and 203, when they're combined, they are different rates than when they are separate. So there are some rates for rooms that are combined and rates for rooms that are separate. Also with the Great Hall North would be rented with the kitchen. Great Hall South would be rented with the patio. And the Great Hall is what colloquially folks have been also calling the community room. And the Great Hall.
Is this per hour, Mackenzie? Sorry. Per hour?
I'm sorry, yes. Yes, this is per hour.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you for asking for that clarification. And then the Great Hall full room with kitchen and patio is another rate as well. And I will move into the weekend rates. And sorry, going back right to here. So this weekday rates would be Sunday nights through Friday afternoons. And weekends are Friday nights through Sunday afternoons. So these are the weekend rates. You can see that there is a little bit of a difference here. You will not be able to rent the Great Hall in Great Hall North or Great Hall South separately on the weekend. So it can only be rented as one unit, and there's a minimum of 5 hours. So no partial room rental on the weekends for the Great Hall. And then with additional fees, also some policies involved in here. Currently, our room rental deposit is $380, and that will be continued, as you can see here, for most of the rooms except for the Great Hall. The Great Hall deposit is going to be set at $500, and that is a refundable security deposit. So after staff do a sweep of the room, review the room after the rental, that deposit would be refunded. If there are any damages or additional cleaning fees, that would come out of the deposit. The full Great Hall cleaning fee to pay for janitorial staff is set at $250, and that is a non-refundable fee. So that is if somebody rents the entire Great Hall, regardless of the number of hours, if that is rented, that fee is $250. Excuse me. And then all other rooms, the cleaning fee, excluding the Great Hall, will be $124 for groups of 100 or more. No fees for groups less than 100. Excuse me. And then currently how we already have it is that for a setup and breakdown fee, it's $55 total for each room rental, but nonprofits can request to do their own setup and breakdown to have that fee waived. And so that is a review of the recreation facility fees, and I'll take questions at the end regarding that, unless you have something that's pertinent right now. I'll go into the camp fees background. The staff have analyzed the logistics for our summer camp programming at the new facility, and having a new facility, new rooms, new programmatic updates, a full day of camp would provide the most opportunity for our community members and the most efficient use of staff. And so what staff and the Recreation Center Subcommittee, or Recreation Facility Pricing Subcommittee worked on was reviewing Matrix Consulting Group's rates that were approved in the citywide fee schedule, January 1, 2020. And staff broke down these costs into an hourly rate. So some of the rates that they broke down were before care, after care, and then the camp fee. So before and after care took place prior to camp or after camp, and then camp was set from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So using this hourly rate, a new fee was calculated for camp hours from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. This full day of camp would allow guardians to drop the campers off anytime between 8 and 9 a.m. and pick up anytime between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. So while staff do not plan to offer a half-day camp this year using city staff, contracted camps will be operating half-day camps and will fulfill that need. Staff would like to set a half-day camp fee, though, for flexibility in future years. And you can see these are the fees, the weekly rates. So for the camp that would take place Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., we have a resident rate and a non-resident rate. And then the half-day camp, 5 hours per day, Monday through Friday, would be for flexibility in the future. So if we had a morning half-day camp, it would be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if we had an afternoon half-day camp, it'd be from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The fiscal impact on this, of course, will depend on the usage of facilities and the program attendees. But the Ballard King operational analysis had projected high and low rental numbers. And based on their table and the formulas that they use for that, we input the new potential fees and rooms, and the overall rental revenue is projected to be between $313,000 and $495,000 annually. $495,000 is quite aggressive with the room rental usage, and the $313,000 is much more attainable. And then the summer camp revenue is projected to be about $156,000 for 8 weeks, so 60 attendees each week. So that's 480 attendees over the course of the summer. And that would be at max capacity for full day usage. And that is nearly $100,000 more than summer 2019, where we had fewer rooms and we're offering half-day camps in conjunction with full-day camps. So with all of that, the council action that staff recommends that the City Council hold this public hearing to receive input regarding the adoption of the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule. And at the conclusion of this public hearing, consider adopting a resolution approving updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for Recreation Department fees as of the effective date of March 1, 2022. And I will take any feedback or questions now.
Do we have any public comment? No public comment or questions? Then can we close the public hearing? And we have Councilmember Fung who would like a question.
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say it is important for us to have these categories where we're distinguishing, for example, whether it's Millbrae-based or non-Millbrae-based nonprofit organization. But I think that's an important criteria to consider. But I think there's another important criteria to consider is what if there are events that are being organized by perhaps non-Millbrae-based nonprofit organization or civic organizations that primarily benefits Millbrae residents, for example, our children, our youth, or our seniors. Are we open to discussing maybe another category where they could, for events such as this, organized by non-Millbrae-based organizations, that they can still also receive a certain amount of discount, similar to what Category D is showing?
Thank you, Councilman Fung. So that category would also be the base price. Let me just go ahead. I'll scroll back here. So for example, a weekend rental, or I'll just go back to the categories. So as you're mentioning, a non-Millbrae based nonprofit that might be primarily benefiting a Millbrae, our Millbrae community. So that would be in category C, and the non-Millbrae based nonprofit, which is the base price, which is also the same as the Millbrae residents would be receiving. The only less expensive option would be the Millbrae based nonprofit. So there would be an opportunity for the non-Millbrae based nonprofit to partner with a Millbrae based nonprofit or potentially partner with the city. There's also the opportunity to request assistance via sponsorship of the city or potential fee waiver from the City Council. And so those are all options for the non-Millbrae based nonprofit.
Yeah, thank you, McKinsey. I think what I'm trying to say is that it is just as important for us to consider where the organizations come from, as much as the event that they organize within our facility and who they benefit. If they were able to benefit our residents, we should consider giving them as much assistance as we can, because ultimately these facility is paid for by taxpayers of Millbrae, and we want to make sure that to encourage these organizations, no matter where they come from, where they register, so that they can hold events that would benefit our residents as much as possible.
Thank you. That will definitely be taken into consideration.
Are you finished, Councilmember Fung?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Of course. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. I would only point out that I had a discussion with the city manager about the Millbrae Leos, who do so much work for the city, but of whom the city also gives them many opportunities to fundraise. And the Leos are quite happy in paying for room rental so that for the city's perspective, everyone is treated the same way. So thank you for that. And thank you for the discounted rate. Wearing my Millbrae Leos advisor, not council hat.
Any other council comments, questions? Former Mayor Quigg, I closed public comment. Did I miss you somehow?
Well, I don't know if I should be under public comment or not. I just would like to comment on behalf of the Park and Recreation Commission. As I alluded earlier in my statement on the other item on the agenda, we worked very hard to create this schedule, and we tried to make it as simple as we could from the fact that we created a resident price, and then we worked off the resident price, whether we upped it if it was a non-resident, or we reduced the price if it was a nonprofit. And then we try to take into consideration the same size room. So rather than say, well, this is a flash room or this was a room for painting or decorating, if the room was the same size and configuration and approximately the same square feet, we took and applied the same rate. So, you know, I think we spent a lot of time and effort on this, and I hope that the city council would go forward with these recommendations because they were well thought out and well planned. So thank you very much for the opportunity to talk, Madam Mayor and City Council.
Thank you, former Mayor Quigg. Vice Mayor Peppin.
I'd like to move approval of this and also note to my colleagues that we still have loans to pay off. And the whole idea of having a brand new facility like this is to bring the community in, but it has to be paid for and operationally speaking. So I believe the city of Millbrae is very generous in how we operate within the community. So I'd like to move approval at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Can we call for a vote, please? Councilmember Schneider, I think your hand's up because it stayed up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Just making sure. So can we have a vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Peppin,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Yes.
The City Council adopts the proposed updates to the City of Millbrae service and fee schedule for Recreation Department fees by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Good job. Good. Lots of work there. Lots and lots of work. Okay, we'll go on to existing business, but there is none. New business. Adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute an agreement with the city of Burlingame to provide temporary interagency water transfer to the city of Millbrae for the duration of the Skyline Water Tank Replacement Project. And do we have a report for this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce again our senior engineer, Ms. Jane Kalb, for your presentation. I know Mr. Craig Sintis, our acting public works director, is also here to provide the presentation. Before they start, this just sounds a lot more complex than what it is, and this is a great example of cities working together in partnership, when we need each other. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce, I think Mr. Craig Sintis is up.
Hey, Keith, can you see the screen?
We can, Craig. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor Ann Olivia, Vice Mayor Gina Pappin, Council Member Ann Schneider, Council Member Ruben Halver, Council Member Anders Fung. Millbrae Skyline Water Tank Replacement Project Interagency Water Transfer Agreement. Objective, provide uninterrupted water service to Millbrae residents at minimum added operating costs during the Skyline water tank replacement project. Background, recent events. The 2015 Millbrae Water Master Plan recommended the replacement of Skyline water tanks. In 2021, City completed the design of the new 1.5 million gallon pre-stressed concrete tank. September 28th, 2021, construction contract award to Pacific Hydrotech Corporation. January 5th, 2022, construction broke ground. As you can see, are the existing two metal 1 million gallon and 1.5 million gallon steel, and then that's above is Burlingame's pre-stressed concrete water reservoir. This is the back. If you can see the location of the project boundary, it's San Mateo County Open Space and SFPUC. Here's our proposed 1.5 million gallon tank. You can see the reinforcement work. That's going to be pretty elaborate. And this tank will be 105 feet diameter and 38 feet high. Good relationship with our neighbor Burlingame. Both cities share a metered intertie connection. A long-standing agreement exists between the two cities. Burlingame will charge the same wholesale rate SFPUC charges. Without this agreement, Millbrae will need to manually pump water daily to the La Prenda and Vallejo tanks. Any questions?
Counsel? Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Acting Public Works Director Sentis. This is just so the public really understands. This is so we have water pressure and so that we are protected in the event of an earthquake or fire. I am happy to make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I don't know if we opened it to the public though. Sorry, Mayor.
No, this is new business. We're okay. And Councilmember Fung, did you second?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Can we call for a vote?
Did you ask for public comment?
I did.
Okay,
There's no hands raised.
okay, we're good.
Did I miss one? Oh, we got one.
Great.
Nope, that's me.
I think Councilmember.
Dan,
You're muted, Dan. Did you want to speak, Dan?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for an opportunity to talk about this. This is the one thing nice about being involved with the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, and also being a member of the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency. Because of the San Francisco PUC, there's a lot of redundant pipelines that go throughout the system. So because of the redundant pipelines, it enables other cities to transfer water from one city to another city. It also enables cities to transfer water from one storage facility to a different storage facility. So therefore, it is a very beneficial situation that we get our water from San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, and that we're also members of the Bay Area Water Supply Agency. So this is an excellent example of how the cooperation works among cities, and therefore we will not be paying any additional fees to get our water. If we were purchasing water from another system or another city, we would have to pay for the delivery of that water. It is called wheeling. When water goes through another system and is traveling along their pipeline, you pay for the cost of that water traveling along their pipelines to receive it. Well, by getting it from a neighbor city, and the neighbor city is not going to charge us wheeling, we will be getting the same water for the same cost that we would be getting it directly from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. So I think Craig did a really nice job on presenting this, and I hope that this additional information is beneficial to the mayor and members of the city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That was very good. Very nice. So we have a motion and we have a second. Can we call for a vote?
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Oliver,
Aye.
Councilmember Fung,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Oliva.
Aye.
The City Council adopts a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute an agreement with the city of Burlingame to provide temporary interagency water transfer to the city of Millbrae for the duration of the Skyline Water Tank Replacement Project by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you, City Clerk, Acting City Clerk. We are on our final item of the agenda, item number 10, which is the formation of 75th Anniversary Celebration Subcommittee. Do we have a staff member assigned to this city
We
meeting?
do. Thank you, Mayor. Acting City Clerk, Mr. Eduardo Gonzalez. He just, for the ease of things, just has a quick PowerPoint presentation to guide the council through this discussion.
You guys see coming in?
We can see it, Eduardo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just have a very brief presentation here. So this is for the council's consideration for forming a subcommittee for the 75th anniversary, which is scheduled for next year. Quick background, the city of Millbrae, great city of Millbrae, was officially incorporated January 14th, 1948. The last celebration was in 1998, in which the city celebrated its 50th anniversary. And as I stated, January 14th, 2023 will mark the city's 75th anniversary. It's a special occasion, and it gives us the opportunity to honor the community's history and what has contributed to the city's strong community culture and inclusivity that exists today. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us. The purpose of forming the subcommittee, so some of the responsibilities for the two council members is to develop the vision and strategize for the celebration. The subcommittee will also recommend the programs and the events that would happen in celebrating the 75th anniversary for the year 2023. They will also consider potentially having a citizens advisory subcommittee in which they can have a committee established of residents of Millbrae that can help with the planning of the events and also the public outreach. Those are some of the responsibilities, name a few. And so the council recommendation, recommend that the council consider the appointment of two council members for the purpose of forming a city council 75th anniversary planning subcommittee. And
Thank you, Eduardo. Do we have any council comments? I have one, if you don't mind. Well, first, I really want to be on the subcommittee. I'm hoping that I can work this out with somebody on council together. I think that it's really important that this subcommittee work with everybody in the community to come together. And I'm talking my fellow council members that are Lions and Rotary, and if we get our chamber involved, if we get our committees involved, if we get all and everybody. So if your connection on council is a Lion or well, we got a few of you guys, a Lion or a committee chair that would be an obvious committee to be working on this, I'm gonna ask that this is like a subcommittee to put it together, but this is gonna be all 5 of us to come together. Now, obviously, it's gonna be a year where 2 of us won't be here, but doesn't mean we'll be out of the city. So the planning, I think if we start now, it should take at least until a year to put it together. So with that being said, I hope everybody's on board with the same type vision, but I certainly want to hear some other visions. Vice Mayor Pappen?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'd be happy to help on that. I think our dates are wrong because I remember having one, we had the Blue Angel flyby courtesy of Peter, a miniature plane. But we did have something previously that was a lot of fun, and I'd be happy to assist.
Anybody else?
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see, is that your hand up? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was, excuse me, Councilmember Schneider.
It's probably my camera is definitely having problems tonight. Thank you, staff, for bringing this forward. I had tried to bring this forward last September, and our workload just didn't allow it to come through. I would prefer also that it be as many of us working on it, and a council subcommittee actually makes that more difficult. I had hoped that it would be a community-based committee. I'm very happy. I would like to serve on this. I am a member of the Historical Society, probably the longest Millbrae resident here. Might have a little competition with Councilman Oliver if we added up our years. But I can easily ask the Lions to chair this from their perspective. They will like to say that they are actually older than the city by a few years, but I'm sure that they will be great partners. There are many, many great partners out there for this. But I think the Historical Society should be an integral part. I had started talking to them last year about it, especially what happened in the 50th anniversary. And then we sort of missed the 70th opportunity with everything happening with the rec center.
Thank you. That was one committee that I wanted to mention tonight too. So thank you for bringing, of course, the Historical Society. That's key, a key player here. Councilmember Oliver.
Yes, thank you. I'd be happy to support any of you for that subcommittee. Actually, my mother was actually the chair of the 50th anniversary committee. It was not a council subcommittee, it was an independent committee at that time. And from what I remember, it was a lot of work, and they did a lot that year. I don't know who's still around from that committee. I know Dan Rogers, I believe, was one of the officers. So it might be worth chatting with him. But I don't know if you know the pavers right in front of City Hall. That was part of the work of that committee. There was also, I believe, a parade. I believe there was a delegation from Malta that visited at the 50th anniversary celebration. So quite a lot of events that happened then, and it's possible that some of the folks from the Historical Society may have some of the documents or records of what the committee did at that time. But just I'm excited, looking forward to it, and I won't be on the council at that time, but still be around to help celebrate.
I'll be with you, Ruben. Well, I think that in this actual event, we can all have a great time with it, and I think we all are going to have a lot to bring to the table for it. I have to say that I would Councilmember Schneider, I would really rely on you for the Historical Society and for the Lions, and you got the Leos. And I think that you have a lot of that I don't have. I would like to work on this committee as best I can with everybody. I know Anders, we're going to rely on you with your connections as well with your duties. Ruben, you have history and a half all your life, right? In Millbrae?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So how do we put a subcommittee together? We have.
I'm not sure you actually have to formalize it at this point in time. Everybody's
Yeah.
interested. It might be just a good idea, everybody.
I think that's great. So we'll start the wheel rolling. And well, with city manager, how do you feel about organizing this? Because you're gonna get all the input from everybody.
Yeah, sure. We can put together a kind of a concept work plan from staff's perspective and get some of the background and history and present that to the city council.
Okay.
And then kind of go from there. And maybe there's a couple of different subcommittees that may need to be formed.
Perfect.
You know, we can allocate tasks to one subcommittee, another task to another subcommittee. We're going to have to figure out how we fund it and finance it and maybe get corporate sponsors, you know, depending on what the programs are. But as you've all discussed, there's a lot of work and plenty of work to go around. So maybe there's a couple of different subcommittees.
Yeah. So everybody that's here would have some sort of title.
Yeah.
An equal amount of work. I like that.
We might have a connection in getting a room at the new rec center too.
Mayor, actually, I love what the city manager proposed, and I think there is enough work to create several subcommittees so that we can continue to work. But I also hope that we start bringing in the public. Tom Dowdy is a natural as our unofficial city historian. The Friends of Millbrae Library. We have so many, as I learned under the Mayor's Coordinating Council, just so many entities here to try to bring them together. But if city manager could do a framework, then we can try to figure out who might be best to step up for different things. The only downside is maybe next January it will be raining. So that's the only thing that might limit our activities on that.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have to be in January. I mean, we can set the date too. I think that's an important aspect of the whole event. I think that we celebrate the year, the year. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the middle of winter.
Yep. Redwood City celebrated their 150th, I think 3 years ago at a Council of Cities dinner. Now, okay, that's 150th. We're halfway there, but we also can bring in MCTV for creating some of our history, getting more of our history in place, which will help us in a lot of our economic development work.
Perfect. So let's if we could direct staff, which I hate to load you up with something, but some sort of outline on what you'd like to see, and then we could bring this as existing business to a future agenda to maybe give some assignments to people to work on. And the mayor's the coordinating committee meeting is, I think it's Thursday, so hopefully all the groups that are there will be able to give them the heads up so that we can get some input from all those different community groups as well. Sound good? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Sounds good.
Alrighty. There's action on that, but we took action by taking direction. Do we need a vote on that direction? We're okay? Yeah. All right. So it is 9:38. We're going to go to council comments. Could we just be like the public and get 3 minutes, please, for each council comment? And I will start with Vice Mayor Pappen.
Briefly, yes, in case Mr. Nathan's still on here. The agenda is started as close to starting time as possible, and just every effort is made to get all council members present. We get texts, we get calls, but it's really inappropriate to keep the public waiting. There's a lot of things that go on before the actual meat of the meeting. Just wanted to let him know that, because we've all been a little late and we have to keep things going. That's about it. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Councilmember Fung.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As noted earlier in the meeting today, it's February 5th. It's the major celebration for the Lunar New Year. It's going to happen on the 300 blocks of Broadway. Firework. There'll be all kinds, firecracker, I should say firework. And we also have, everyone in the community is welcome to join. There'll be a lot of activities, some performance, and have an opportunity for all the community members to get together again in a safe way. So please make sure make it as happy as we can.
Thank you. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. For me, it's been a busy month so far. Last night, One Shoreline voted to, if you all remember, Assemblyman Mullen found $8 million to work on sea level rise for Millbrae, Burlingame, and South San Francisco. Yesterday, their board voted unanimously to use $4 million for Millbrae and Burlingame, and the other $4 million for projects around the rest of the county, including $1 million of that for administrative or operational funds. So that's sort of a shame. That was a lost. Supervisor Horsley tried to say, well, couldn't we use that $4 million for an actual construction project in Millbrae or Burlingame? But he didn't pick up any traction with the other board members. CCAG's bike pedestrian meeting is this coming Thursday. This is where the 17 entities that applied for grants, about $1.5 million more than we have money for, will give their presentations. Millbrae, we are one of the 17. I hope we will make a really good presentation. It is very important to attend that meeting and speak well for the project. It will give you points in the process. I also attended California High-Speed Rail's double board meeting last week, and this is kind of interesting. Their board approved their EIR for the Burbank to Los Angeles reach, with approving an alternate for the Burbank stop as an underground station at Burbank Airport. So this is one time where they went away from their original, I can't speak tonight, original EIR, and our undergrounding operations in Burbank, which to me bodes well for us. But the EIR for our reach, SF to San Jose, comes out in a couple of months. And I think they're going to pass it without any regard for Millbrae at all. Having attended these meetings and watched how they go, it's going to go so fast. So those are the big three. I already mentioned MCAC, and there was, again, there have been 3 roundtable meetings, airport noise roundtable meetings, and basically SFO declining to do anything that might assist Millbrae. That's my report. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to mention one more thing. While I was mayor, I began working with the city manager on trying to get our assemblyman, senator, and then, as it turns out, Brian Perkins from Jackie Spears' office to assist with the flooding of Landing Lane. And I inadvertently sent an email out, but basically Jackie Spears' office is going to try to get permission. It turns out their office works on expedited permits for things like telling Fish and Wildlife, we need to get in there to prevent danger to our residents. So one tiny step forward for Landing Lane in dealing with SFO.
Thank you, Councilmember Schneider. I think that Vice Mayor Pappin's going to have something to say about that meeting you went to too. I think she might want a coattail on that.
Yeah, you were still hopeful to get high-speed rail on board here. They were underground. The Southern California project also had undergrounding for 2 miles. The undergrounding of a station and a huge, enormous rail overpass over a major freeway leading into the Union Station, LA Union Station. So a lot of potential possibilities, which we hope that will be greatly considered here. And I met with Assembly Member Mullen, that's it. It's getting late. And we're talking to Josh Becker as well. Hopefully we can get them, and also MTC, getting people alerted to the viable, reasonable alternatives that exist not only in Millbrae, but also Brisbane. So we're going to keep it can happen. We just want it to happen correctly. Thank you.
Excellent.
So on that note, Senator Becker has reached out, and he's having Java with Josh, as he's following Java with Jerry, and he's in South City next week, but he's offered to come to Millbrae too. So we might want to format some questions to that subject matter, and you and Councilmember Schneider could do the 1-2 punch if you don't mind.
Yeah, Senator Becker has been very open. He's been to our
Absolutely. But I mean, we can, get our public out there with their concerns too.
Mayor, just so that you know, Senator Becker reached out to me last summer, I think. He had found new technology that could bring in undergrounding tracks at $20 million a mile. I know that sounds like a lot, but compared to decades ago when BART was 70 million a mile, 20 million a mile with new technology is a pretty cool way to go. So I think the senator is working for us. It's just on tender hooks waiting for their EIR to come out.
Well, maybe we'll bring them in for a cup of coffee and have another.
and to reiterate, the new technology is absolutely amazing. I hooked Senator Becker up with his new company and also the airport. So we have a lot to look forward to, and hopefully a lot of great things. Thank you.
See, Councilmember Oliver, you didn't want to go first this time, so I saved you, but now you have to wait for the, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the estimate I had heard from High School Rail was what, $1 billion a mile. I want to double check those figures, but they don't have the funding to finish the Central Valley segment yet, let alone bring the train to San Francisco or LA, but I digress.
Mr. Oliver, too, this new technology is 1/10 to 1% of current cost of tunneling. So it's a huge savings.
Wow.
And it's a local, I think it's a local business that he has a connection for in this Silicon Valley.
So he's in Oakland. The guy's in Oakland.
Oakland, sorry.
Just to be real quick here, let's see, I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting last week. Had to hop off early, but they were discussing a parks inventory analysis and recommendations report. Very thick document that I believe will be coming to council at some point fairly soon. A lot of park upgrade recommendations. And I attended the Sister Cities Commission meeting, very short meeting last night. And as was discussed earlier, there was a discussion about the location of the tree. They're planning to plant by the rec center. So I'll come to a decision on that shortly. Also hoping to have a discussion with representatives in Ramallah, Palestine, and the mayor is going to be involved with that. So I hope to have that scheduled in weeks. And that's all that I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've been pretty busy myself with the Heart Board, Sal Board, and our beautiful senior advisory committee that they had a few requests of which I have actually reached out to staff to get some answers for them. And I think our city manager made a great recommendation that hopefully we'll do a senior advisory tour of the rec center soon. So hopefully that'll get on the agenda if Jeffrey's on this call right now. Sal Board, this is kind of an important thing I wanted to share with everybody. Sal Board is going to finally do a fundraiser. And they've been, one of their greatest fundraisers, which I know a lot of you attended in Redwood City, has been put on hold because of COVID. But we're trying to revamp, get everything back on course, make some money. And as you all can imagine, just what we've heard with our poor Parks and Recs department, the Sal Board takes care of the bulk of the kids after school and their activities. And it's been hit just as hard. So fortunately, or unfortunately for me, not really, I'm happy. I get to be on the fundraising committee. And with one of our undersheriffs, we'll be hosting. We're going to present to the board to host the fundraiser in Millbrae. So I'll keep you posted, and I'm hoping that I could get, of course, the support of the five of us working that together as another community event in the year to come. So everybody better buy a new party dress or party pants, because it sounds like we have some celebrations ahead of us. We'll start it off with the Lunar New Year and maybe end the night by saying Happy New Year to everybody. Anybody else have any comments?
Mayor, because we don't have a Rotarian on council, the announcement just went out that they're having their virtual Lunar Festival. I believe it's February 15th. It was fun last year. I attended. We brought food. Food is from Taiwan. Everything worked out great. So if anybody wants to support the Rotarians, who are another big part of Millbrae, their big fundraiser event, Feb 15th.
So we have one more meeting before Feb 15th, maybe.
Yeah, but
we'll-
you have to get your food order in before that, I think.
Okay. City manager, your hands
Yeah,
up?
yeah, Mayor, real quick, I was going to mention it earlier and just didn't have time, but I wanted to just say thank you to all of the citizen volunteers that are always out there. And I wanted to especially recognize Ninhua Chang, who behind the scenes helps us with all of our translation into Chinese. She never takes any credit, never says anything, but I wanted to recognize her since she was here tonight receiving the proclamation for Lunar New Year and all the work that she does behind the scenes in helping us with our translation of material. So thank you to her and all the community volunteers. It's phenomenal, this city, and how strong our volunteerism is. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. Anybody else? Alrighty, it's 9:50. And with no other comments, I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.